Hello, everybody. It's your weather woman, meteorologist Amy Metz. It is now 5:30 in Vanuatu. We are looking at a cyclone that formed today. Earlier today, I said it was forming, and now it is on the map as one of these cyclone figures. Norma just made a landfall, sending some moisture toward me. We have a couple more storms out there, but the one that's going to do the most damage, the one that's going to get really big, is going to be what is now Cyclone 1 in Vanuatu. So looking at what it looks like now as far as wind gusts go, we're looking at some tropical storm like winds here at the center, and those purples 60 miles per hour up to about 70 kilometers per hour. Um, Now, as we continue, though, it will be coming very quickly here, more like 100 kilometers per hour, then 150. As we start to see the white appear, that's when it starts to become about 160 kilometers per hour. So that is coming as it gets closer and closer to Vanuatu. So I'll take a closer peek here now at exactly who's going to be seeing what, because it's not just the strong winds, which luckily won't be lasting too long. We're looking at that Tuesday and Wednesday where we have that white lasting around 160 kilometers an hour. Again, remember that's very strong, but as it gets closer and closer to Port Vila, which got hit so hard last cyclone season, it will get weaker. There's a couple reasons for that. Some of it's going to be wind shear as that storm hits all of the buildings, the mountains here. That makes a difference. But another thing that's going to happen is that it's going to get much colder. So this is a ton of moisture. We could have up to a meter of rain. That's looking over the next 5 days to be a meter right here. But the good news is that it's going to dry out as soon as it gets south of there. We're not going to be having quite as heavy rains because here's looking at the water vapor. The mid and the upper level water vapors both show here that we are going to be having a lot of dry air. So the red is very dry over New Caledonia. As this storm continues to head south, that's when it's kind of breaking up here. You see these lines. That's because it's getting drier and drier. But ahead of that, this moisture is going to stay intact. So Fiji, lots of questions here too. You're going to be getting some rain from the storm. We're talking about light rain, not that crazy heavy rain, okay? Cook Islands, it is so dry. It's going to stay dry. You're not getting any of the storm activity, probably not really any for the next week or two. Very, very few thunderstorms coming your way over the next week, about a week from now. Nothing heavy like what we're seeing in Vanuatu. Again, that difference here around Suva is going to be something around the ballpark of, just probably a half a, this is a quarter of a meter compared to an entire meter here in the next week. So this is just really going to be enough to do landslides in Vanuatu along with some of that wind gust damage for the northern part of the island over by Thursday. What we need to think about, and just keep in mind with these date times, you're about 13 hours ahead of me where this is set to. So now this, when we have the low pressure going this strong, pushing water, it's going to actually be able to do what's called storm surge. So maybe a foot, 2 feet, we're talking like up to about a meter of sea level rise along the coastlines is possible where we see these very strong winds in the white. So be understanding that from Tuesday to Thursday, we will have problems not only with wind, but also heavy rain and the flooding from storm surge. This is going to be over by the weekend. So one good thing here is that I can show you we don't get cyclones unless the water is more than 26 degrees Celsius or more. So that's something that, as we get to Port Vila, ends up cooling down quite a bit pretty fast there. So we're looking for tones in the oranges for cyclone development. But once we start getting to this kind of more of like a pale golden yellow tone, it is no longer warm enough to really sustain that. So we will be kind of calming down there sooner than later. That's the good news. We're just going to have to get through this first bit here. where we're going to be having some problems. So that's where our low pressure is right now. Another thing I can do is get out our temperature. Which one? I don't see the one I wanted there, but otherwise we have highs and low pressure maps. Not needed right now. But if you have any questions, I'll go ahead and check the comments here. Very, very rainy. And let's see, as I was saying, we're probably not going to get any rain in the Cook Islands. I'm curious now. Yeah, this puts almost nothing, like that 1 or 2 thunderstorms. Papua New Guinea has been getting a lot of rain and still will too, though. So there's some areas there not too unusual this time of the year for the Solomon Islands. The one that's just, this is a whole meter. That's just going to be very intense, and I hope that people don't have trouble with any of the flooding and landslides there. So I'm not seeing any comments, but if you have any more questions, go ahead and let me know. I'll continue to update things also on my YouTube page. Go ahead and subscribe here, Weather Woman Amy Metz, and you can see me do some of the work on the green screen. So I'll be covering these storms here from my at-home studio and also doing some more experiments. Did you know that you can grow plants with magnets? If you put them a certain way, I'm going to teach you all about it, but you could put you take a magnet, you put it with the northward field facing up underneath your plant, it grows really healthy and strong. More fruit. You can even take a copper wire and do this in crops, in farms. But if you put this magnet the other way, you can actually deform your plant, make no plant. So it's a really interesting experiment that'll also kind of end up tying into some space weather. So I do have a lot of space weather information on here as well. If you want to look at my videos, you can even just what I would suggest if you're interested in space weather is go to Space and Earth Weather group on Facebook, or even just type in my name here and space weather. And that'll just bring you up some videos where I talk about how these like solar flares and different space weather events can be connected to when and where we're going to be having our flooding events, or when El Nino is going to hit, how much lightning we end up with. So, oh, this is my final from school, which, by the way, I aced. Woohoo! So, yeah, really interesting stuff, though. My whole point is that I want to see exactly how space weather changes our weather here on Earth. So that's what I'll continue studying, probably get a PhD someday, and I'm working with the state of North Dakota right now on that. So really, really interesting stuff, because sometimes these hurricanes, these cyclones, they'll speed up in intensity and get really strong really fast. And I have noticed that that happens often when we have really strong solar storms interacting with our Earth, that we end up seeing some of these just really grow humongous. Now, this is forecast to be severe, but if we end up with another strong solar storm passing by, it could actually get even stronger, like Category 4. We did just have a coronal mass ejection, so there it is, finally showing up to the end of this coronagraph. That means in about 20 hours up to 3 to 5 days. That's the typical time. This one looks so far like it's moving pretty fast. I can also reference that on SDO satellites to see just how quick this filament is moving. But when these arrive, if there is a southward magnetic field associated with it, we will end up with aurora, but also geomagnetic storms. And that's where we can sometimes get these intensifications of hurricanes and cyclones where our storm systems get really strong on Earth. So there's a few blasts here. I'm seeing quite a bit going on. None of these are showing definitive plasma jumping off. So it's always important too, when I can't exactly tell right off the bat, I'd look at the timestamp and just match them up. So the time of, because I'm so curious now, I'm going to do this with you guys too if you don't have questions. I'll see that hi and thanks for the update, he says. And Mohammed, gosh, you know, I know there was a name and I can't find it. I was referencing it. He says, have they named the storm yet? And what could the intensity levels be? That'd be definitely a level 2, 3, I'm sure. And so with 160-kilometer-per-hour winds, you know, like I'm showing here with the space weather, as I'm digging into this, I'll get that timestamp. We could, again, be seeing something even stronger. So this is a CME. What I'm doing here is finding out if it's on the back. It kind of looks like it's on the side of the sun. So at 3:02, 10:22. This is UTC time, Greenwich. Looking for 10:22. Wait, I said 3. 3:02. 3:02 on 22. Oh, yeah, it's not there yet. So the coronagraph images actually get here faster and are interpreted and sent to our computers a little bit quicker than this SDO footage. SDO takes a little more time to be interpreted, so it's not even showing it yet. But with some time, I'll be able to analyze how fast this solar storm will be getting here and whether or not it's going to affect us. We can see that there was some stuff. Whatever this white stuff is flowing at us, that's a magnetic cloud as well. It's not very dense. If it was dense and it had a lot of particles, it'd be brighter. But with that kind of a solar wind streaming past us, that's the sort of things that the thing that from space that could increase that pressure system and make it even stronger. So the rain would be about the same, but the winds could get stronger even than that category 3. We could be seeing category 4 if those space storms end up affecting us here with the right magnetic field. So I do believe in this model really well. I'm going to show you something before I go, though. There's a hurricane tracker on windy.com. I don't like a lot of the hurricane forecasts. Zoom Earth is one of them. This one, look at how silly this is. I'm going to show you what I mean, because I do agree with the European model. This is delayed, my mouse. That's why this keeps happening. Sorry. And so I'll keep zooming, but I gotta wait and just see where it is. All right, so it's important exactly where the center is, because that's where the strong winds are. So if you can see here how different these two models are. We have one forecast track in the dotted line. I don't believe it. So there's a lot of forecasts out there. I do believe the European, that it's going to go mostly just south, a little bit to the left, a little west. And so this is now local time for Vanuatu, we are looking at Tuesday evening. So by Tuesday evening, these strong winds are going to be right off the coast of these islands, the northern portion of the islands. But then as we head a little bit later, heading into Tuesday night into Wednesday, then look how far those are from one another. I do not believe this is going to head west. So just be careful with some of those hurricane forecasts out there, because to say that this is going to be going that much further west does a huge disservice to anybody living in Vanuatu. So please share this with anybody that might need this information, because we will be having storm surge, water pushing into here, flooding, along with flooding rain from the clouds. So landslides on top of this flooding, people are just going to want to be in a safe place, especially if you're along a river, a waterway, a washway, where your home could get swept up if it did flood a lot. Those are the kinds of scenarios here where people driving and getting picked up in the rain during this time here, all the way through Thursday, because even after the wind speeds calm down on Thursday, we still will have a lot of rain. So through Thursday, it's still going to be very strong. Now, and I don't even think that this storm will head quite that far west, but even by that time, it doesn't really matter anymore, because what happens at that point is the low pressures go ahead and they kind of they get farther away. That center of where the L is, it won't even be near the rain. Most of that rain at that point is going to be on this side, so it gets a little dissociated. But just look how far those are from each other on day 5, these different models. And to be honest, I feel like it's still going to be mostly here. So, time will tell, but I could tell you I've had a lot of experience with this, and I'm good at forecasting these cyclones. So, yeah, trust me here that Vanuatu is going to be seeing the brunt force of this storm. Not Port Vila, though, not Fiji. Some rain for both, but not that big bad windstorm, not that crazy amount of rain. Once again, for anybody who missed it, this is a whole meter of rain over there we're talking about in this pink color here over the next 10 days. Really, it's the next 5 days more so as that storm passes. If I hit 3, you can tell here that it doesn't encompass then, that Thursday, that prolonged rainfall that's going to linger. So still those Cook Islands will be staying dry, have some nice rainfalls, especially around the mountains in Fiji, but nothing damaging, nothing like the flooding rains that Vanuatu will need to be preparing for now. So don't hesitate to get prepared for cyclone season. I'm wishing everyone the best here, and let me know if you have questions. Don't forget to go ahead and hit subscribe, follow my page here, and subscribe to my Facebook and my YouTube. Have a nice day, everybody.